You need to figure out who you are, what you are, and be that all of the time. You don't need to pretend to be someone, because that's when you lose yourself and you lose the core essential of what you are.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hello, listener. It's your host, Lara Jane, and I have an amazing new friend with me, and her name is Leigh. Leigh's bio and ways to get a hold of her are in the show notes. Do you have show notes, Leigh? I don't care. You can make fun of me too, because sometimes I get my words messed up. Anyway, I am really excited. She is definitely an amazing author. I look forward to hearing her story. And we are going to learn about how making a difference brings us that power, that personal power to keep going, that amazing thing that we can generate and move forward with. So, Leigh, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. Please tell us about bringing back our power.
I'm glad to be here today. So yeah, I'm an author, and I really wrote my first book accidentally. I didn't mean to become an author, and it's kind of created this whole journey unto itself. And this is what I talk about a lot is for a long time, I was just this kind of mousy little person in a box in a corner, and I was kind of ignored. And a lot of it was because of expectations that other people put on me, and some because of what I put on myself. And so there was this whole thing going on. So kind of the backstory is for 30 something years, I worked with homeless people and did a lot of advocacy for poverty initiatives. So I did a lot of volunteering at homeless shelters, soup kitchens, committees for first-time homebuyers. I was involved in various community groups, trying to get people into appropriate jobs and helping them get the new skills that they needed. So all of this work, but I was a volunteer, I was a mom, I was a lot of other things as well. And I homeschooled. So there was a lot involved there. But I was at this one particular committee meeting one night, and the topic was really interesting to me. I had something to say. However, the person who was leading the meeting ignored me, and he would not let me speak. And he was letting the political person in the room speak. He was letting the businessman speak. He was letting everyone speak but me. And so he just ignored me. And at the end of the meeting, I went up to him and tried to get my voice heard privately. Well, he gave me a list of excuses why he wouldn't listen to me. I was just a mom. I was just a volunteer. I didn't have the right education, the right experience, the right whatever. It would have taken him less time to hear me than it would for me to hear his excuses. And at that moment, it made me realize that I was just invisible, and he was not the first person to ignore me. And I had just lost myself, and I had given up all of this power, all of these years that I had, and that I had allowed all of these people to tell me I was just a whatever. And I was so frustrated at that moment.
Oh my gosh, my heart is breaking. I almost want to cry. That must have been just an awful feeling, but I bet you have a comeback story.
I do. And this is what I try to encourage people. There's an encouraging, hopeful part of this. So I went home and I just started journaling. And I just took out a notebook, put pen to page, and I just started writing. I just poured out all of my feelings and all of my frustrations and everything that I thought could change the world, right? Yeah, because I wasn't going to face this guy. I was just too timid to do that, right? So months later, I looked at what I'd written, and I started reading this. And I realized that at some point it flipped from writing about me to writing the perspective of a homeless woman. And I realized that many of the complaints I'd heard from women that I'd worked with over the years were my complaint. They were ignored. They were devalued. They didn't have a voice, just like me. And no, I'd never been homeless, but we were in the same position. We were in the same boat, so to say. And I realized I'd accidentally written a novel somewhere along the way. I didn't mean to do this. Where I was headed at all.
But I think magical how things happen for us or everybody, like that is such a good lesson on what we're doing right now may be for our future and it may not make sense. I love the accident. You had a good accident.
Yeah. And even better thing is, so I throw this book out into the universe after working with a writer's group and working with an editor to clean it up a little bit. It's still a hot mess. That's the first book, Road Home. I never figured I'd sell more than a few copies, change some hearts and minds maybe, and raise a little bit of money for charity. I was going to be happy if it sold 10 copies, right? Because I'd been ignored, right?
Yeah, you were used to it. No one wants to hear me.
Exactly. But the weird thing happened. I went from being ignored to being an expert literally overnight.
That is so cool.
Yeah, because you write a book, all of a sudden, magically, everybody wants to hear you, right?
Even just that marketing to get you out there, that it's hard to be heard when in that type of situation. And you talk about this from the homeless standpoint and people who weren't feeling heard. I know some executives who feel like they don't have a voice even in the boardroom when they're invited guests. And so it's not just us or those who have never stayed or been in the work environment. It's not just the homeless person. Everybody can feel like their voice isn't being heard.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The longer I've been in here and talking about my story, it's amazing how many women in particular I hear from who said, your story is my story. I've been doing whatever for so long, and yet I'm still getting devalued. And you're right. It's not just us moms. It's a lot of different women in a lot of different places. And it's wrong. We need to use our voices and we need to take back our power and say, hey, we have value. We have a voice. We need to use it. No matter where we are, no matter what position we're in, we have something valuable to share and to give. And this is something I'm trying to encourage more people to figure out what their passion is, what their voice is, and go use it and be loud, be obnoxious.
Yeah, I love it because it's such a good message. We somehow grow up thinking what we have to say isn't important. And I don't know if it could be from parenting styles that always say, I'm always right, you're always wrong. Just follow my lead and be quiet. Then you get to be an adult and you never learned that process of getting a voice. And so I love your message that you're sharing with the world. And you just shouldn't say just because 4 books is amazing, but you have a picture of 4 books. So I'm assuming that you've published 4 at this point. Are they all this same type of message?
Well, each book is a different character where they're facing a problem. They end up sharing their story with someone and then try to fix their problem. So each one has the same theme, but it's a different character. But
again, I love that. So it's character based and it is somebody who wasn't sharing their voice, who found the footing and the ability to stand up for themselves and take that power back of, I do have a voice and people do want to listen to me. It's amazing when I can switch inside to nobody wants to hear me, but somebody really is asking my opinion. That feels so good.
Yeah. And I think I'm writing this way because this is how I am feeling now. And the more I'm asked to speak, the louder my voice is getting and the bigger my platform is getting, which is just amazing to me because, again, I went from being ignored at a small little community meeting in a small little town in the middle of nowhere, right? To now I am speaking at all these amazing places. I'm on podcasts. I've been on radio shows. I've been on television, for pity's sakes. So it's amazing to me that when you allow your voice to be heard and you can speak and loud and proud and say, this is what my message is, you can literally change the world. Because I never would have imagined a few years ago what I could do. And now I can do anything I want. I have this whole different mindset, and it's really empowering. And I want more people to have that sense of empowerment that, yes, you can do anything. And yes, my platform is homelessness. That I'm not going to deny that, which is a very big issue and affects a lot of people. And I don't care what your issue is, what your platform is, what you need to change. We all can do something. We all have a voice. We all have a place in this world that we can change, and we just need to go find it.
You say your platform is homelessness, but I think it really speaks to everyone who feels out of place. I am homeless in a sense, but I feel ignored or set aside. And even the corporate executive who feels out of place kind of feels like they don't have a home there, that same imposter syndrome. So I think it's an amazing way to share the message that not just homeless or not just poverty, but everybody can learn from, because you do need to feel like you can be your authentic, pure self anywhere, whether it's the boardroom or the grocery store or the playground. You don't want to change. You don't want to hold back just because of fear. And does the book show any type of changing process where that person is able to actually release the fear so that they can have that strength in their voice? And we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. We'll have a word from our sponsor, and then we're going to hear about how can we switch that fear into our voice. Talk to you in a second.
This podcast is sponsored by Lara Jane Coaching. You know you're ready to silence your inner bully voice. Let Lara Jane support you with coaching. To schedule an introduction call, go to larajanelayton.com.
All right, we are back. I really want to know this because I still suffer from that fear. I know, I have a podcast, but it's still that fear of, does somebody really want to listen to me? Do I really have a home? Do I belong? And I know everybody has that, or we wouldn't fight so much with our egos and trying to be important. So I am really excited to learn this.
Well, here's the thing. You need to be yourself no matter where you are. Okay, I'll give it a really good example. The other day I was at a coffee shop and someone ran into me and they recognized me because, well, I get recognized occasionally because I'm kind of out there, right? And she recognized me and she got so excited. And then as we were talking, she's like, "Oh, you're normal." Well, yeah, I'm the same person no matter where I am, whether I'm on a podcast, whether I'm on the radio, or I'm in a coffee shop. And this is what people need to figure out is, who am I and what am I, and be themselves no matter where they are. You don't need to put on a face or a mask to be somebody at work, at home, and at a coffee shop. You need to figure out who you are and what you are and be that all of the time. You don't need to pretend to be someone, because that's when you lose yourself and you lose your voice and you lose the core essential of what you are. And this is what I think I was doing for a long time. I was allowing people to put me in this little tiny little box and I was just and I'm not that anymore. I've not only kicked open the top of that box, I've thrown the box away. I don't follow rules anymore. I don't do what people tell me to do. I don't care what people think about me anymore. I am me all of the time. I'm just normal, regular me. You hear me on a podcast. You see me anywhere. I am the same person all of the time. And that is the key here, is you find your voice, you hold on to that, and you are yourself everywhere, all of the time. And it doesn't change no matter where you are. You are loud, you are proud. You are you, and you accept you as you are. And I think that is the big key here. I just don't care anymore about anything because I know who I am now. And for a long time, I think I kind of lost myself because I was striving so hard to fill all of these. I was a mom. I was all of these things. but I didn't know who I was within myself. And I've now figured that out. And I am living my best life now. And I'm so much happier and I'm so much freer because I figured out who I am. It's a big change and it's a big shift. And a lot of people, when I started doing this, they thought I was going through a midlife crisis because they didn't quite understand what was going on. My son was at that point where he was ready to leave the house. So I was about to be an empty nester. I was hitting almost 50 and they were like, oh, you're just going through a midlife crisis. No, it was a big whole shift in my mentality. They didn't understand what was going on, right?
Yep. That's amazing. People recognize the shift and don't understand it because they're afraid also. They're afraid to take that next step. And it sounds like this one little spark really ignited an amazing flame within you and allowed you to take back the me hat. We have all these roles we play in society. I'm the mom, I'm the friend, I'm the neighbor, I'm the worker. And we have these hats. And I'm going to guess 90% of the women out there have the me hat in the very back of the corner that is loaded with dust because they don't get to play that role any longer. And that has got to be our primary role in order for us to sustain and move forward and to be the you were meant to be. That is so beautiful because I don't want a whole bunch of Lara Janes out there. No, I need excitement. I need difference. And until we can realize that our own personal me hat is unique and a blessing to all those around us, we're going to leave it hidden in that closet. And that transition's tough for a lot of people because they've been so trained to hide. You're going to be liked if you do for other people, not if you do for yourself. But if I don't do for myself, I can't keep doing for other people. And that transition of, I know you did it. I know I've done it. But in my brain, I don't know that thing that lit the fire. And how do we get that spark lit so we can start feeling like ourselves and feel safe in our me hat?
I think everybody just needs to hit a point where they're ready to accept that they need a change. Because for a long time, I didn't even realize something was wrong. I thought everything was okay. And then I hit this point where this guy just ignored me. And so I hit this point where I was just like, no, this is wrong. So I think we have to hit some point where we see this is not okay. And I think for most people, they just haven't hit this point, or they haven't heard somebody say, oh, I hit this point, and then that sparks in them. Oh, yeah, that's happened to me, and I just didn't realize that was a problem. But you're right when you say that if we ignore ourselves, we're not being fair to everyone around us. If I had hit that point sooner, I would have been a better mother. I would have been a better volunteer. I was burned out and I didn't even realize it for years. And I would have been so much better at everything I was trying to do because I am so much better now at everything I'm trying to do because I know who I am. And so I want everyone to kind of hit this point sooner and realize that this is so important to figure out who you are and find your voice, because you are going to be 200% more effective at whatever you're doing if you figure this out. And this is so important. And I wish I would have figured this out sooner. I wish I hadn't been old.
So let's think about what are the symptoms, because you and I both had that kind of rock bottomy, I'm not being heard, something's not working, and I'm making a change and no one's stopping me. And I don't care if everybody defriends me or whatever. What you're going to see is the real me, not a new me.
This is why I've always been, I just buried it. Yeah.
Right. And so let's think of what the symptom, and maybe you already know them. I'm thinking that dread when you wake up in the morning and you just can't get out of bed because you don't have the energy. That feeling of dread's one of them. I think when your health starts to go south, instead of being that vibrant person you've already been, all of a sudden something's dragging you back health-wise. That's a trigger. What are some of the others?
Cranky and just not being happy all the time.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm still it because I get cranky. No, but I do. When your intolerance just goes away and you just have that shorter fuse, yes, that is also a sign of you're
when
not
what
being
you're doing
yourself.
doesn't spark joy.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And like, no, you don't have to be happy, bubbly, gooey, but that peaceful joy, that content. Like this may not be the situation that's making me all bubbly, but I'm content in it because I have what I need for me.
Right. Exactly. I'm not saying you have to be this happy person all of the time. That deep inner core that you are satisfied with where you are. Because I have days where I'm just like a hot mess, and it's okay. Because ultimately, I know this author journey that I am on is the right path for me. So yeah, that inner sense that this is where I need to be and it sparks me. That is what you need to find.
I think sometimes, and maybe that was the accidental word you used there, but sometimes something just happens that just gives us that glimpse of what it could be like. And then you want that and you desire it and you move towards it. But what if someone's not seeing the glimpse? How do we help them open their eyes and be adventurous to do something different than they're doing right now?
Well, see, this is part of the reason why I've started traveling so much is I think a lot of people, especially Americans, don't take the time to step back and breathe. Americans are so wrapped up in being busy for the sake of being busy. I think if more people would just take a step back and slow down for a hot minute, I think they would realize some of what's going on in their lives and some of what's causing some of these problems. But we are so wrapped up and busy. And I think that was part of my problem for years too. I was always doing something. I was always going somewhere. I was at this meeting, that meeting. I was homeschooling. I was a mom. I was a single mom at that. So I think we're so wrapped up and busy that we cannot see what problems may be out there because we don't take the time to breathe for 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think Americans, and I'm generalizing and pointing fingers, and this isn't fair, but we feel like busy is what's acceptable. And if someone's sitting in the shade, enjoying their backyard, doing nothing, I'm sorry, people judge them. Now, you're free when you don't give a crap whether someone's judging you or not, and you're happy. I'm taking care of myself in the backyard, chilling. But people are judgy and people don't want to be judged until you can say, think what you want. I need to be me. Until you make that choice,
yeah,
you're kind of stuck.
Yeah. And this is why I encourage people to travel to Europe, because in Europe, there is no judgment. If you sit at a cafe for 6 hours and drink after drink and just people watch sitting on the patio at a lovely cafe and just watch everyone walking by, there is no judgment because they have a different mentality and a different attitude because there is no judgment at all. And this is part of the reason why I love Europe. Anyways, we're all good.
No, I think is absolutely stunning, beautiful, perfect message. And I have to admit, when I first saw your book, Words and stuff, I felt like it was a message for traveling the world. What I've heard is it's an amazing message of traveling to the destination that you need to be on. And that is the destination of you, the you who you are. And how do I get from feeling like I have to wear all these fake masks to make everybody else happy to being okay with the mask you're on? And that is the most beautiful journey that anyone can be on, is to bring back their own personal power. And I am elated that you have been on the show. I think this is a much needed message for everyone and not just poverty or homeless people. Your message is amazing for everybody. Find yourself, be yourself. And if someone judges you, understand that's their weakness. They don't understand yet. And that's their path. And let them. Mel Robbins has a little 30-second thing, I don't know, that she keeps saying, let them. Who cares if they didn't invite you to the party? Let them. It's not yours to worry about. Just be you, your beautiful self. So my heart's so, what is the word? I can't describe it. It just feels happy that your message is out there. I'm so excited that you are touching people's hearts and that you are sharing your voice and that you made the turnaround. And I love you. You are amazing. Thank you. So do you have any last minute words of wisdom that you would like to share with our listener?
Well, I like to say that every life is a journey and you just never know where it's going to take you. So just breathe and go live.
Well, I love it. Breathe and go live. Listener, Leigh and I are not medical or mental professionals. We are here for entertainment purposes. We're people who have been there. We've been at the bottom and we've struggled our way back. And we want to share with you anything that we can do to help you find your voice. Talk to you on the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.